Hey everyone, welcome to episode 26 of PixlFeed Radio, and I'm here with my friend Craig Henderson, who's the CEO of Extract Labs. How you doing, Craig? How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Too bad that no one can see you right now on the YouTube channel because
Sorry
we're having
about that.
No, it's not your fault. Listen, this is the world of technology. Sometimes you run into technical difficulties and you can't figure it out, and the show must go on. And I know you're super busy as well. So I just told Craig, I was like, hey, man, let's do it. Most people listen to the podcast anyway. So even though you can't see him, I'm telling you, he's a very good looking guy. All you have to go, just go to his site, extractlabs.com, which is, here, I'll let you tell this story. What does your company do, Craig?
We are a CBD product manufacturing company. We started off as just a processing company for hemp farmers, take their flower, turn it into CBD oil, and sell it to other product manufacturers. That was the initial business model. Today, we are a full-blown, vertically integrated product manufacturer.
That's amazing, and the brand looks amazing. If you go to his site, you can check it out. But before, we'll get to all the products and all that good stuff. I like to hear everyone's story from where they got started, what brought them to where they are at now. I do see here that you are a Marine and always a Marine. So thank you for your service. First of all,
Thank you.
I'm someone who's just became a U.S. citizen, a year ago, I think it was.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
Yeah, I've been here for, 25 years or something like that. My mom's American. It took me a while to get it done. Anyway, besides that. So how did it get started, man? Were you always an entrepreneur at heart when you were a kid? Were you selling stuff? Tell us the whole story.
I guess I didn't even know what the word entrepreneur meant up until I was in my 20s. I never heard the term before, but once I figured out what it was, and later, recently I've been looking back on life, and yeah, I think I have always been an entrepreneur and didn't really realize it. In high school, I was cutting grass for neighbors. In college, after the military, I was cutting grass. I started a little landscaping company. I was always reading how-to books, always trying to create my own website. I've probably attempted 4 or 5 other small companies that never stood a chance, and they obviously fail. But I never really knew what an entrepreneur was up until recently.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the game. I mean, I have so many failures. I can't even tell. I mean, I started the same way when I was a kid. I used to do car washes for my neighbors. I mowing lawns at some point. I sold lemons at some point from our lemon tree.
Nice.
So I guess you're like, you're born with it or you're not, I guess. But it's more of a glorified term nowadays. I tell people all the time, listen, if you want to be an entrepreneur and a business owner, you're going to be working 16-hour days, 7 days a week. If you want to have a good life where you take days off and you don't have to worry about a single thing, go get a job that's 9 to 5. Am I correct or not?
Exactly. Like I thought when I had that small landscaping company and I had 1 or 2 employees, I thought I was a business owner, and I was not compared to, life today. It was just a world of difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, so you started doing all that, and did you go to the military first or college first?
Military, about a year after high school.
Okay, and then how long were you in the military for?
I was active duty for 4 years, and then I got out and went into college. And while I was in college, I was in the reserves.
Okay, and I see here that you have a mechanical engineering degree. That's a good one. I mean, engineers, man, you're your own breed. The way you guys think, it's a whole different level, So that's interesting, because usually people who are like engineers, with or computer science degrees, when they go that route, they're very analytical, but they're a lot of them are introverted and they're not really on the sales side of things. So usually they partner up with someone who takes care of all that while they handle all the analytical stuff. So obviously you founded your company and you started your company. So, you're doing both. So that's a great combination. I mean, that's very rare. And I mean that as a compliment, by the way.
I agree 100%. When I started engineering, I did feel like a little bit of an outcast amongst my peers. I did notice everything you just said is 100% true. And it hit me at some point that maybe I do contain a little bit of both. And I thought, if that's true, I might really be able to use this to my advantage. I used to say, everyone talked about getting jobs after college. I got my bachelor's and master's in engineering, and everyone talked about what they were going to do after they graduated. And I used to say, I'm hoping to, take everything I learned here and find something the world needs and be able to create a product and maybe start a business. And that's just, everyone else was looking for a job. And I thought I was going to be able to create something. And I'd always get these weird looks. And I thought, man, maybe am I just that naive? Am I just that ignorant? Maybe I need to start looking for a job. Yes, I guess that whole seed has been in my, inside me this whole time. And I always did feel a little bit different than everyone else I was around.
Right. So I see that you have a family, you have 2 kids. I just had my first son 11 months ago.
Congrats.
Thank you. So people ask me the question all the time. It's like, 'cause I dropped out of college and I started my first quote unquote real business back then,
Nice.
and took off from there. But people ask me all the time, like, are you going to send your kid to college? And I'm like, listen, one of the things that I kind of regret was not finishing college. And it wasn't because it would have bettered my quote unquote career or my life or anything like that. It's just, I got half of the experience, which it was like the partying and the having fun and all that. Now the classes, it's a whole different story, but I was going for business and marketing. So, this is where I ended up at anyways. But I tell people all the time, like, if my kid is interested in something like engineering, or he wants to be a doctor or an attorney, of course go to college. And you know what, I still want him to go to college just from the experience and the education. I know that it's very hard to get a job nowadays when you get out of college because of supply and demand. But I think people should still go. I mean, just because you go to college, it doesn't mean that you can't start something on the side and make money on the side. Now, if that thing on the side takes off like crazy, then at that point, listen, you're an adult, quote unquote, 18 or 19 or whatever. That's going to be your decision then. But I mean, you have a very successful business as well. So what do you tell your kids in that respect?
I agree with everything you just said. Even if I think they do need to go to college, I'd prefer my kids to go to college for exactly what you said: engineering, doctor, lawyer, something that really makes them jump through those hoops. Because that's what college is in my mind. It's just a 4, 5, 6 year jumping through these hoops. Can you do it? Can you be on time? Can you get this assignment done? Really teaches you how to accomplish things and gives you goals. That's the biggest thing I learned from college. Obviously, I learned a lot in engineering, but just, I don't know, the whole college experience, I completely agree with and think everyone should go. But I agree with the side hustle also, and trying to have your own dreams and make something happen.
Well, if you want to talk about structure, I'm pretty sure the military and the Marine Corps gave you a structure.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only imagine. I do have people, I do have people in my family that have served and stuff like that. So I've heard some stories. All right. So you went through all of that. Now, when you left college, you got your first job. When did you start a company?
So it's kind of a long story. In college, I'd never really smoked weed growing up. I never smoked weed in high school. I started smoking weed a little bit in the Army after coming home from Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
And then I enjoyed it, but then immediately felt guilty for it, convinced myself it was bad. And then I started doing research on it, just to learn, is this good? Is this bad? And then throughout my research, I figured out that this plant's not so bad. So in college, I started growing a little bit of weed in my basement illegally, selling to some of my friends. And that's when my passion for cannabis really took off. And I decided years before I graduated college that when I do graduate, I'm moving out to, at the time it was California or Colorado, and I was going to be a grower, or I was going to somehow just get my foot in the door there. 3 years later, that dream kind of fell apart. My home was raided, and I started looking for I figured, it's time, Craig, to start looking for a job. Well, found a job, got an offer from GE, got an offer from DuPont months before I graduated, and I still wasn't happy. I really wanted to chase that cannabis dream. So I started looking for other cannabis jobs. So I probably sent out 100 resumes to cannabis companies all over the country, never got a call back. Found a guy in Ohio making extraction equipment, and he had so happened to just have started selling these pieces of extraction equipment into the cannabis industry. And I thought, with my engineering degree, this really expensive, complicated piece of CO2 supercritical extraction equipment, I think I might be able to partner with this guy or get with him. Maybe he'll give me a job, and that'll be my foot that'll be the door that gets open for me to get into the cannabis industry.
Isn't that crazy though? How, we have this thing in our head because we've been so brainwashed of like how marijuana or weed is bad. It's bad, 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 bad. So, I grew up going to Catholic school, and and even when I moved to the States when I was 13, the whole DARE campaign was going on.
Yep.
So it's like, they brainwash you how horrible it is. This plant is so bad for you, blah, blah, blah. Now, personally, I always joke around with my friends because I have a lot of friends who smoke weed a little bit here and there. And then I have friends who smoke it all the time, wake and bake and all day. And they're successful. So, it's like, that whole thing to me is such bullshit. But like me personally, this is why I wanted to become legal. Okay. Because every time that I've personally smoked weed, well, first of all, in college, it was like you. Every time I did it, which I can probably count with like one hand in college, I felt so guilty. Like I felt so guilty. Like that Catholic guilt, man, I could not get rid of it. I thought I was like the worst. My parents are going to kill me. They're going to be so disappointed and, all that. And then after that, I never liked it. And this is why, right? I love drinking. I can drink all day and night. I can't do it like I used to because my hangovers are horrible at my age. So I pick and choose my battles with that one. But I always tell people, like, I wish weed was legal in every single state, like here in Florida. So I can just walk into a facility that sells it, right? And just be like, hey, guys, like, I just want to get a little buzz. I just want to relax, just like if I had like 5 beers or something, right? So I feel good. I'm hanging out. And then tomorrow I wake up and I have no issues whatsoever. Because the problem is when you're hanging out with people who smoke it all the time, obviously they get like the super strong strains, or, there's indica and sativa and all this stuff, and you don't know what you're going to get with your friends or whatever. And then you take that one hit, and next thing you're knocked down on a couch,
Exactly.
for somebody who doesn't smoke. And it's like most horrible experience ever. I can probably tell you out of the 10 times I smoked weed, I've done it more times than that, obviously, but let's just say out of 10 times that I've smoked weed, I probably enjoyed it once or twice maybe.
I'm the same way.
Because I just haven't had the choice of walking in somewhere and be like, this is what I want. Now, CBD, that's a whole different story. I've done CBD and it feels great, man. So, that's one step forward for sure. So you went into it. So how did you start the company? How did it go? How did you start growing it? How did you come up with the products and all that stuff?
So I was with that extraction company. We manufactured CO2 extraction equipment. And my job for 3 years was traveling the country and the world, teaching people how to turn marijuana into oil. At the time, it was all new startups. Everyone, e-cigarettes back, 2009 to 2014 were starting to be a thing. So everyone was talking about putting marijuana into like a vape pen or an e-cigarette. So our business, Apex Supercritical was blowing up. And I just spent years, traveling around training people, and then I was refining those training techniques. So I really had this awesome understanding of taking cannabis and turning it into oil. Along that time, people started talking about CBD, and it was more of a niche thing. Like if you had some CBD in your marijuana, that was a good thing. And then the Federal Farm Bill Act happened in 2014. Hemp farmers started growing. No one really knew, or at least I didn't know, that there was CBD in hemp, but there was rumors that there might be, that it's not supposed to have THC. It could contain CBD. And then all of a sudden my phone started ringing like, hey, I've got all this hemp. Do you know anyone who could process it for us since you're an extraction company? I was like, well, what are you going to do with it? They're like, well, there's CBD in it. And then so I started, my mind started connecting the dots. I was like, I think there might be a business here. No one's processing CBD. There's all this land of CBD being grown on it. I know personally of some marijuana farmers that are interested in CBD. So I thought it would be a real small niche market. I thought if I could start in my garage, I had enough experience to start a small company in my garage. The dream was to maybe hire 2 or 3 people, and we'd supply CBD for the few people that wanted it. And I had no idea CBD was going to get as big as it did.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge now. So, all right. So take me to the process. I mean, you started the company. How do you choose, the product line? So, I have a e-commerce business. So like the way we do it by collections, right? We niche down and then which your niche will be CBD, right? So we niche down, and then we choose collections to start selling. And based on the data that we get back, we keep expanding the product lines. So how did you choose your first product, and how did you expand from there?
I was, like I said, I was on the marijuana side teaching people, and I was looking at all the marijuana products. So my first instinct was create versions of these marijuana products that are just THC free. Surely someone wants CBD or other cannabinoids in the same products. So like the dabbable products, like our Shatter and Crumble was some of our first products. And then tinctures was just something that I noticed was happening. So when I started digging into the CBD world, what other CBD products are out there? People were just mixing, raw CBD extract with some coconut oil as a carrier and selling it in a bottle. So, and then body creams or muscle creams was something on the cannabis or the marijuana side that also seemed popular. So my first 3 or 4 products was the tinctures, the creams, and the dabbable products. Had no idea about labeling. So really all I was doing was making a product, putting it in a makeshift jar, writing on it with a Sharpie marker, and talking about it on Instagram, and people started buying it.
That's crazy. That's awesome. So for those of that are watching this or listening to this that don't know, what's the difference between, tincture, topicals, capsules, isolate? Like, what's the difference between each product?
So topicals are like a body cream or a face cream, or in our case, a muscle cream. It's just a blend of, like in our case, it's shea, jojoba.
And what are the benefits? Like, for example, so the topical, like you put it on your face, what are the benefits from it?
CBD is supposed to help with acne. It helps with, I use it personally for sunburn or inflammation. When I was injured, I used it on my knees. And when I first started making it, I really didn't know if people would like it or if it would benefit them. So I just start sending out samples, and people with like serious arthritis would swear by it, or people that have had knee surgeries would swear by it. Obviously, when my legs are fine, I put it on. I don't really notice anything. But if I go on a 13-mile run and my legs are just throbbing, there's a noticeable difference in about 30 minutes after using it. So it's kind of like Tylenol. If you're perfectly fine and you use it, you're not going to feel anything. If you've got a fever and you take a Tylenol, you're going to feel better.
Right. And I have bad knees, so I feel your pain with that one. Like every time I go running or something, my knees are just killing me. I grew up skateboarding and all that. So, all right. So what about the capsules and the isolate and the tincture?
So the tincture is just a way to ingest it. The pure extract by itself is really thick, really sticky, really nasty. So it's just better to put it in a carrier oil, better for dosing. So if someone's trying to take, a regulated dose every day, put it in a tincture. It's got a graduated dropper on it. You can take a 0.5 ml or a full ml, and really ingesting it.
Which is super relaxing, by the way. Like I've taken it, obviously, and it's like, I'm trying to explain it. It relaxes you, but you're not high, but it does, you feel like relaxed.
It does. Maybe a slight mind change or.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about like, oh my God, I'm so relaxed. It's like, it takes the edge off. Like if you had a long, it just chills you out, but it's not to the point where like you feel it. Does that make sense? Am I describing that even right?
No, it really does. And if you're fairly healthy, that's about all you notice. The reviews we get are people with like serious intestinal issues swear by it. We've had reviews from women on their period, and they just swear by it. It eases the cramping. Children, like parents, are sending us compliments about their children. Like this one girl had a real bad spine, had like a pretty intense spinal surgery, so they use both the tincture and the topical. So she's getting some on the outside of the muscles and then obviously ingesting it, and they swear it's night and day with their daughter.
Yeah, I always joke around with my wife that I'm gonna put some in her coffee in the morning for anxiety. She oh my God, she's like stresses so easily, but she has a very demanding job. So
that's the number one thing we hear is anxiety. People swear by it for anxiety. I'm hit or miss. Sometimes I agree with you. It works exactly what you just said. Mm-hmm. And other days I'm wanting it to work like that, and maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean it's nature doing its thing, so you never know. All right, so that's really cool. So let's get to my expertise. Let's talk about marketing, because I actually have a friend who works for a big company who has, well, they're one of your competitors, actually. They're a big brand that's made here in Texas. And I'm not going to mention the name, but they wanted me to come as a partner and build my own store and sell their products. And when I looked into it, it's banned you can't do it through Facebook. You can't do it through Google and Amazon. There's so much. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, it's not illegal. It doesn't get you high. So I don't know why these big tech companies make it so complicated. Now, I figured out a way to get around it, but it's extremely difficult. And it's not, it's not for sure that it's going to work, right? Mm-hmm. So what have you been doing to get the word out there?
Just like you said, just getting really creative. In the beginning, it was all social media, Instagram, Facebook. Even now we get pushback sometimes with Instagram, Facebook. TikTok gives us a lot of pushback. Lately, they've closed our account down 2 or 3 times for showing the most simplest of things, usually just our manufacturing process. You're right. We can't do any ads on Facebook or Instagram or Google.
Well, that's why I told my buddy, I'm like, listen, man, as much as I love you and I love your products, like, I can't do it. I don't have the patience. Like, I run ads. And when I run ads, that's, I just, this is too much work for me to, like, I can make the same amount of money or more with another type of store. Like, I'm not emotionally attached. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he's like, I get it. I was like, listen, if one day they take those restrictions off, I'll be the first one to throw a store up right away. And I know ways around it, but it's like you said, it's just a matter of time before Facebook, Google, or TikTok just closes your account. And it's like the cat and mouse game when you have to open another one. Yeah. Now, I do have another strategy, and I'll tell it to you once we're done here to see if you've done it. And if not, it'll help you. Nice. Just another idea. So you've been doing Instagram, TikTok, you got banned. So what else are you doing to get the word out there?
There's other ads. We can't use Google ads, but there's like affiliate marketing. Mm-hmm. We or find influencers on Instagram, give them our product, pay them. And it seems like just really using affiliates and using influencers has helped a lot. We've gotten into Military Times. We've been on Good Morning America. So we have a PR agency that's constantly just trying to find people to talk about us. So you just have to really get creative.
All right. So let's talk about the influencers, because a lot of people watching this or listening to this, I talk about influencers all the time because I use them with my brands too. What's your approach with influencers? What's your process there to find the influencers? Then how do you communicate with them? How do you figure out how much you pay them? And how do you go from there?
In the beginning, I had no idea what I was doing, but now we've talked to enough of them. We've talked to enough of them. They all agree about the same amount. I think it's maybe $100 per every 10,000 followers, and they might do 2 or 3, hard posts, a couple stories. Yeah. Do
you start with micro influencers, or do you go for the big ones right away? Do you test them out at a micro level? Like, how do you figure out, or do you even bother looking at their engagement rate on their accounts and stuff like that? Or you just, find one that you like and you take the risk, like, hey, would you like to do it? This much, yes, no. And then you just send them the product.
Definitely. In the beginning, we were just sending out samples. I figured if I mailed people samples, they would talk about it, and they did. I didn't even know what an influencer was. We've gotten kind of lucky. We've had Sasha Banks. We've never paid her a penny. She just loves the product. Sasha Banks from the WWE. She does a post for us every now and then.
That's pretty awesome. I don't watch wrestling, so I don't know who she is. I'm not gonna lie, but WWE, you can't go wrong there. That's pretty awesome.
Yep, that was a huge win for us. We had a girl who was in the cover of Playboy, got a hold of our products and swore by it. She swore by it for her acne. So she used to do some story posts for us. And then we just see our accounts blow up. She's like, how do we need to find more people like this? And then we'd start reaching out to them. And yeah, micro influencers are good. We've got a few bigger ones, but really just the micro ones. They seem to, appreciate us the most. It just feels like a better relationship. Sometimes you go too big. It doesn't feel real, I guess is the word.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. That's really cool. Yeah, that's so the strategy that I told him to put together for this other company is pretty much the influencer strategy you're talking about. But the other thing that I recommended, and you can use this if you haven't done it. So the idea that I came up with, and I know a lot of people do it in other niches that are not allowed by Facebook and Google and all that, is you go out and you build a lead magnet, right? Using a software like ClickFunnels or something. And then it's basically just a lander. And you create a page That's about, for example, in this case, let's target, I don't know, pain, knee pain, right?
Yep.
And then you target those people on Facebook or Google or TikTok or whatever, talking about the knee pain and, how you can better your knee pain in natural ways and blah, blah, blah. You bait them with some type of content. So you can do like, if they give you their information, their email address and name, it unlocks a video that tells them how to treat their pain. But at the same time, you're not talking about CBD because you'll get banned. What was that?
That's genius.
Yeah, so you're not talking about CBD because you don't want to flag the account. So you don't talk about CBD at all. So what you're doing is, or a PDF on like how to treat your knee so they feel better. You just got to make it very compelling. So to unlock the content, they have to give you their name and email address, which, as you know, you're building your email list, right? And then what you do is on a back-end sequence with an autoresponder, then you send emails out. So you make it value, and you sell them, right? So
nice.
content, sell them. So content, here, buy our products. And then you bring them to your site through your email, because at that point, you're off the platform completely. Like once they click over, they're off. So you're in the clear. So at that point, it's game.
I do feel like we've been trying something similar to that. Almost like a fake landing page, get people there and then use that landing page to get them to your website. We started that about 6 months ago and it seems to be working.
Yeah. And if you know how to build the audiences and you know how to run ads, I mean, you can get to a point where your leads will be like literally cents. Nice. So once you grow that list, it's insane. You know what I mean? And you're a smart guy, numbers, talk about it all the time. Like if your list, it's 100,000 people, right? And your open rate is only, let's say 20%, which that's pretty bad. It should be 40 and up, but let's say it's 20%, right? And then let's say you put an offer out there for $100 and only 1% of people click on that link and take advantage of that offer for $100. You just made $20,000 by sending an email.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. People don't think about it. Email, you own your email list. Nobody can take that away from you. But listen, Greg, we're running out of time, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you for having me on.
No, of course. For everybody that's listening or watching, make sure to check out his stores, extractlabs.com. Fantastic products. He has them all from tincture, topicals, capsules, isolate, even for your pets, for your dogs. Sometimes dogs suffer from anxiety too, or their pain, that works for them too. So make sure to check it out. And Craig, where can everybody, find your social media accounts and stuff like that?
Yeah, Extract Labs is on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and then extractlabs.com. You can read our story and check out our products.
Right on. Everybody, make sure you check it out. And if you watch all the way to the end on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Craig, thank you so much again.
Thank you.